the recording. So as I said, we're going to talk about job and internship search strategies today. We'll talk about tier 1, which is the job board, tier 2, which is networking, and tier 3, which is reaching out directly to employers. And tier 1 is the one that everyone uses. So it's not always the most, the fastest way to get a job, but it's where you can start looking. And then tier 2 and tier 3 can really accelerate your job search. So, okay, and I asked students to let us know what they're studying. So someone's saying they want to be a software engineer, and this is their first semester, so wanting to learn a little more for the future. Great. Yeah, and this can be some of these things I'm showing you, even if you don't start looking for jobs right away, you can use these as a way to plan out your career path and figure out what kinds of skills you need to develop in order to get that job that you want in the future. Okay, so the first strategy I'm going to talk about, first job board, is called Handshake. So Handshake, if you haven't heard of it, it is basically a job and internship board that's set up for students. And then you can also RSVP for career and employment events. You can also make one-on-one appointments with me on Handshake. Set up your profile in order to receive information about job opportunities that fit your interests. And you can follow companies on Handshake, as well as connect with students and alumni. So it's a little bit like LinkedIn in that way, but it's just for college students. And so I'm going to stop my screen share for just a minute so that I can show you what it looks like. But actually, let me show you this first. So when you set up your Handshake profile, you'll want to go to this website here. The first time you do it. And the important thing to know is that in order to set up a Handshake account, you need to use your Zone Mail. So, and if you don't use Zone Mail very often, we have a link with information about how to get into your Zone Mail account. But anyway, the first time you use Handshake, you can just go to the Career Center homepage, and then you can click on Handshake, and it'll take you to this page here where you can log in using your Zone Mail email address. And a lot of the notifications that Handshake sends out are sent through Zone Mail. So if you don't check Zone Mail regularly, then I encourage you to use this YouTube video here to forward your Zone Mail email to your personal email address so that you'll get notifications from Handshake about jobs, internships, campus events. I often will email students through to their Zone Mail about internships related to their particular major. So you will want to be checking that quite frequently, at least once a week, but I recommend every 24 hours if possible. So I'm going to stop my share so I can sign into Handshake, and then I'll show you a little bit of what you can do there. Okay, so I'm in Handshake right now, and this is the student view. This is the home page. So as I said, you can make a profile and you can click on this, or you can click on your photo. If you don't have a photo yet, it'll be your initials. You can click my profile. You can fill everything in yourself, or if you want to create the profile quickly, you can upload a resume under documents. And then Handshake will pull a lot of data from your resume and put it into your profile automatically. So all that you have to do is make some edits, and then it will just put all that information into your profile. And the benefit of having a profile is that you can then put in your interests, and you can let Handshake know what you're looking for, and then it'll tailor its notifications based on that. And then employers can also find you. Sometimes employers will do a search for students that have certain skills or certain education or a certain major, and then they will message you directly. And actually, that's how I found one of my student assistants. I was looking for a psychology major and somebody that knew how to use Canva. And so I invited him to apply for the job, and that's how he applied. So having your profile filled out is definitely helpful. And other things you can do on Handshake, of course, is find jobs. So you click on the jobs link. Um, and we have this thing called employer collections now. So if you just want to see employers that are close to campus, you could choose this. Great for internships, employers that have hired from our school. And so there's different things you can choose, but then you'll see what's been posted recently in those fields or just in those areas. If you want to do your own searches, you could also just take off the employer collections and do a location search through Livermore, and then put in internship, for example, or part-time job or full-time job. If you're looking for internships, I advise you just to use the internship button, because some internships are part-time if they're during the school year, and some are full-time if they're during the summer. So I recommend that you not like only look for part-time internships or only look for full-time, but that you just look for both. And then you could do the same with like job, or if you click all filters, you can click job, part-time or full-time, and then you'll find things that way. So, um, so that's a little bit about what you can do on Handshake. As I mentioned, you can also RSVP for events. So like we have a summer internship fair coming up on Wednesday. You can, and we have another one coming up at the end of March. You can follow employers. And when you follow an employer, you'll get a notification whenever that employer posts a job or internship to Handshake, and whenever they are coming to an event on campus as well. And then you can, as I mentioned on Handshake, you can also make appointments directly with me. So you would click on Career Center, click Appointments, schedule a new appointment, and then you can choose from these different options here. So those are in general things you can do on Handshake. I will say it's helpful sometimes to look for jobs in a particular major. So if you want to put in computer science, for example, you can put that in. And if any of you are looking for remote work and you feel like you don't necessarily have to be in person, you can just click this remote button, and you'll get jobs from all over the country that are remote jobs and internships. So that's Handshake. Does anyone have questions about Handshake before we move on? Okay, I encourage you to, again, click on your login, fill out your profile so that you'll get notifications from Handshake that are personalized based on what you're interested in. It's like we might have a question here. Someone says, do you have to finish your major before you can apply for the jobs or internships? That's a great question. So some of them you can apply even if you're in your first year of college. I would say the majority of them ask for you to have finished your first year and be in your second year. So there's a lot for like sophomores or people who are planning to transfer next year. Like if you're looking for a summer internship before you transfer. But there are still internships available to people who are in their freshman year. And I've seen students who are freshmen get internships. Usually they have some kind of volunteer work or paid work that's enabled them to get a little bit of experience. But they've definitely gotten internships. And I will say though that when you are studying during the school year, I don't advise you to work more than about 25 hours a week if you're a full-time student, because you need to be able to manage your class load as well as your job. So if you work more than 25 hours a week, it's harder for you to be successful in both things. But in the summer, if you're not taking any summer school classes, you could definitely do a full-time internship. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next job search strategy or other job boards. So there's Indeed. How many of you have used Indeed before? Or ZipRecruiter or LinkedIn? Have you guys used any of these? Yeah, okay. So yeah, Indeed will definitely have even more jobs than Handshake. It might not have as many internships. I'll say Handshake is a pretty good place to look for internships. And Indeed will have all levels of jobs. So they'll have entry level, mid-level, senior level, but it's a good place to see everything. So, going on there, you can filter for certain things. Let's say you're looking for something related to psychology, and then you can filter for things like, since you don't have an associate's yet, you could say you're looking for something with a high school degree. You could look at the general pay range, different types of job titles, and then also shifts, experience level. So no experience required or entry level, and then full-time, part-time. So you can filter for different things like that. And then of course, there's also LinkedIn. So LinkedIn will usually have higher level, maybe more like you'll look at LinkedIn for jobs a lot more when you have some years of experience or when you are maybe a junior or senior. And so I'll just show you really fast some things that you can do there. And just sign in real quick. Okay, so on LinkedIn, you can use this for job search by going to jobs. And then let's say there's a type of internship. Someone else joined us recently, so if you want to write in the chat, let me know what kinds of jobs or internships you're looking for. I can direct some of the searches that way. But basically, you could put in, for example, software intern. You could put in, look at all filters, and then sort by internship. And then I don't usually advise using Easy Apply. I advise you to use just apply with your resume, because with Easy Apply, you apply directly with your LinkedIn profile, and usually your resume is going to be more comprehensive than that. So yeah, you can filter for that, and then you can, again, if you just want remote work anywhere in the US, you can just click remote. Or if you want work that's based out of San Francisco Bay Area, you can put that in here. And then you'll get remote, or you can do all work on site hybrid based out of the Bay Area. And on LinkedIn, you can find all different levels. So some of it's going to be for master's level students. Some of it's going to be for people that are juniors or seniors. Like this one is for a master's level. So you're going to see more that's like that in LinkedIn. But like here's one in Pleasanton, Vigaro, and they usually come to our fairs actually. So hopefully they'll be at the one in March, but they have an internship program. Let's see if they say what's required for it. I'm not seeing much yet. So a lot of times when you click on this button, it'll just take you directly to their website. And then you can look and see more about their internship program. And like what they're looking for. So, and then you can just click apply. So it looks like this one is pretty open. They're not giving too many requirements. So I definitely would encourage you guys to check this out. They have quite a bit in the areas of like business and software development as well as IT. So this is another strategy, and it kind of goes along with the topic of networking, which we'll get to next. But before I move on, does anyone have questions about these job boards? So you'll want to make sure that you can be looking on these job boards. And by the way, on Indeed, you can set up job alerts so that Indeed will email you a certain job like every day or every week. So, and you can do the same thing on LinkedIn. If you want to set alert, you just click on this. Okay, so let's go next. Industry focused job boards. So if you're looking for a job in a particular industry, like government jobs, state jobs, US jobs, if you want to work in the fields of education or tech, these are some different places to look in those specific areas. Is anyone looking for a job in education? Because if you are, I can walk you through EdJoin. It's not always the most user-friendly site, so we could go through that. But if no one's looking at education, we could skip it for now. I'll just show it to you really fast. So basically, you go to EdJoin. I like to do the region search. And then, actually, I believe it's under, we've changed our website around a little bit. So like you can choose directly in Alameda County to look there. And then you can see certain schools. So then if you want to choose a certain school or school district, you can click on that. And then you can see all the jobs that they have posted there. So that's one way to do a search. Another one is to, okay, yeah. And so someone said they're interested in perhaps tutoring. So sometimes you might find, I would recommend that you look under classified when you're on here. So certificate, means that you have to have a teaching credential. Certificate of management means that you have to have a credential as a like as a principal. But classified means that basically any staff person can do this job. And then classified management. So they basically, you don't need to have a special degree in order to apply for these, or you don't necessarily, it's not necessarily a requirement. So I recommend looking at classified opportunities, and then you might see some things like for example, the term paraprofessional. This is, that basically means someone who is like a teacher's assistant, or so they might help students in class. You can click on view the job description, and then you'll see, yeah, it's like providing instructional support. So So this is where you can find all K through 12 jobs is through EdJoin. So I did a region search, but you could also just on the homepage, you could put in a job title or you could put in a zip code and then you can just search and see what's available in our area. And again, I would recommend that you click on classified and then you'll find like jobs in the office or jobs offering support, or classified management would be heading the head of people that do those jobs. So that's EdJoin. Okay, our next topic is going to be networking. So like I said when I started this workshop, there's 3 tiers of job search. So we just looked at tier 1, which is job boards. But I call that tier 1 because everybody is using job boards. When you apply for something on Handshake, you're competing with all the other students that are using Handshake, or on Indeed, you're competing with everyone else who's using Indeed. And so the job boards can be a great way to find out about opportunities, but and you can apply there, but there's some additional things that you can do that can help you to be more likely to get a job than someone that's only using the job boards. So there's something called the hidden job market. And these are jobs and internships that are not advertised, or sometimes they're advertised just for like a couple days or a week in order to meet a legal requirement. But they're not really advertised for a long period of time. And the way you find out about these jobs and internships is through networking. And actually 70% of people find jobs and internships through networking. So it is the most common way to find a job. And so when you're thinking about networking, you're thinking about building your social capital. So you're thinking about building your relationships with people. Now, so you might think of social networking, right? That's part of it, but it's also just built relationships with people that you've built through in-person interactions and other interactions. Doesn't necessarily have to be through social media. But as you can see, it's like you have this web of people that you know. And networking is meant to be mutually beneficial. So you offer things to people and they offer things to you. And you keep those relationships going with people even when you don't need something. So you naturally do this with your friends or your family, right? You let them know about things, information that will benefit them. They share information with you, your family. You might not realize your professors and your teachers are a really important part of your network. So whenever you visit your professor in your office hours and get to know them a little bit better and show that you're interested in what they're teaching, they remember you. And then, when an employer emails a professor about an internship opportunity, the professor will think about the students who they got to know, who did well in class, who were dependable, who were enthusiastic about learning, and the professor will recommend internships to those particular students, right? So you might not realize it, but in class, you're networking with your professor and you're networking with your classmates. You might have other mentors as well who are part of your network, coworkers, supervisors. And then when you go to job fairs, the employers you meet there become part of your network. Your neighbors, people you know from your hobbies, sports, your place of worship. LPC alumni, so I'll show you on LinkedIn how you can connect with over 18,000 LPC alumni. and other people you connect with on LinkedIn. So all these people can become part of your network. You may have very close relationships with them as you do with friends or family. You may have just kind of more, they may be more like acquaintances, but they're all part of your network. And so I'm going to talk to you about how you can, how networking can be part of your job search. So basically, if you want to visualize your network, you could draw a bullseye with your name in the middle. And then in the next circle, you could write people that you're close to, like friends and family. And then in the outer rings, you could write friends of friends, acquaintances, people you know, and just kind of keep going. And then this can be a way for you to visualize your network. And all these people that are in your network, you want to tell that you're looking for a job or internship. You want to tell them what type of job or internship you're looking for, what your major is. And you want to tell them what type of skills you have, experience you have, training you have that you could bring to that internship, and what you're hoping to gain as well. And that way, people in your network know what you're looking for, so when they hear of opportunities, they can share it with you. So you could let your professor know that you're looking for internships. You could let your neighbors know, or your classmates, or different people. And if you don't know people yet, you're thinking, I don't know a lot of people. I'm an introvert. I don't, or, I'm in a field that like no one in my family studied this. So how do I meet more people? Well, one way to meet people is through coming to job and internship fairs like this one pictured and introducing yourself to employers. And I know that can be kind of scary, so I'll talk a little bit more about how to do that. Another thing you can do is join clubs here at Las Positas. We have a lot of fun clubs where you can be with like-minded people that all either have the same hobbies like chess or K-pop dance or things like that, or people who are in the same major, like we have the business club, we have the psychology club, physics club. So those can be ways to meet people. You can attend information sessions. So sometimes employers will have an information session to learn more about their opportunities. You can join professional organizations. So you might ask your professor for examples of that. You can go on meetup.com. Meetup is kind of like a group where you can find, it's a website where you can find different groups where people have things in common. So like hiking groups, for example, but there's also like women in data science, for example, or there's people who are interested in AI. And then if you have opportunities to attend conferences, that's also a great way to network. I know our business club, for example, attends a business conference every year. And so then you can meet students from other universities as well. And someone just asked a good question. They said, is it too late to join clubs, or can you join any time in the year? You can join anytime. I'll show you how you can find the clubs. So for example, if you go to Las Positas College and then click on student clubs down here. So go to students, student clubs, and then click on the active clubs listing. You can see all of the current active clubs that we have and then the times that they meet and where. And so you can come visit these club meetings at any time. And if you have any questions, you could always email their advisors. So there's always like a faculty or staff member who is an advisor along with the president and student officers. And our clubs are also a great way for you to build skills in different areas. So like if you become a club officer, then you gain leadership skills, you learn how to promote different events, how to manage your club money, So, which are all these are good skills to know for a future job or internship. So yeah, they're a great opportunity. And I'll put this link in chat if you want to take a look. Okay, and just to sort of reinforce the value of networking, so this is one of our student officers. This is Mahi. And she, one of her internships she found through a job fair. So I don't know if you guys know the academic support building up on the hill, 2100. It was built by a construction company called Flint. And Flint was looking for a marketing intern. And so they came to our job fair, and Mahi came to the job fair and she introduced herself and met them. You know, she dressed in nicer clothing than what she would normally wear to class. I believe she brought her resume and introduced herself. And so she didn't just apply online, right? So that internship was probably posted to Handshake as well. But in addition to applying on Handshake, she introduced herself, and then they offered her the job or the internship. And she got a great pay increase over her retail job that she had. So that's just a networking story for you. So I know we've got an internship fair coming up on Wednesday. It's going to be in room 2401. And I know it can be kind of scary to introduce yourself and you might not be sure how to do that. So we're going to have a chance to practice that today. In a small group, that's a little less scary. So what you want to do is develop something called an elevator pitch, which is like your 30-second commercial, or if you have a little longer to talk, it could be your 1-minute commercial. And it's called an elevator pitch because you imagine that you're riding in an elevator with somebody, and that person, you only have 30 seconds to talk to them, right? Because you're not going to be in the elevator for very long. I guess we're imagining we're in like, you know, place with maybe 10 floors or something. So you have a little bit of time to talk to them. And so what do you include in your elevator pitch? Well, first you include your title, your occupation, or what you're doing. So like you could say what your major is, for example. Then you give them a little bit of background on any related experience or education. So maybe I have a few years of customer service experience in the retail sector, or and I'm in my second year at Las Positas College. Next part is I can. What are some special skills or knowledge that you have? What are maybe some special like highlights, something you want them to remember about you? Are you bilingual? Do you know how to use like certain software programs they might be looking for in your industry? Something like that. I enjoy. What do you enjoy doing? What do you like? Why are you passionate about this field? What are you excited about? I'm looking for. So the type of position you're looking for. Are you looking for an internship? Are you looking for a summer, spring internship? Do you want to work in a particular industry or just anything related to your major? So things like that. And so these are the different components. Someone asked, does it matter if you're bilingual, but not many people speak your second language? I think it's still good to mention being bilingual because being bilingual is like if you don't necessarily want to mention it in your elevator speech, like if you're thinking, oh, I want to have space to add more about something else, you could leave it off, but I would definitely at least recommend that you include it in your resume because being bilingual shows that you have that cognitive ability. So I think it's still valuable. So here's a sample elevator pitch. I'll let you read this. And this is an elevator pitch for Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. So this is what we're imagining his elevator pitch would be. Okay, so let's look at the different components of this elevator pitch. So his name, what he's studying, experience, something special about him. He already had an internship, but if you haven't, you could say like, I'm involved with the physics club, or I like to tinker with, I don't know, like some hobby. Skills, what you enjoy, what you're looking for. Here's another sample. So this is one for a Las Positas college student. So again, I have a computer networking technology major in my second year at Las Positas College. I have over 3 years of customer service experience. I recently completed my CompTIA A+ certification. So notice how this is related to what they're studying. I can or enjoy. I'm bilingual in both Spanish and English. I enjoy helping people, and I'm good at explaining technical issues to the general public. And then I'm looking for an opportunity to pair my customer service and technical skills in a technical support role. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the recording for a minute so that you all can create your own elevator pitch, and then we can practice these together as a group. So I'm gonna stop the recording.